His recruiting class was kind of locked in already, so him being up there on signing day didn't have a major impact. But, yeah, I think this is a sign that Harbaugh's return to the NFL isn't just as easy as him snapping his fingers and saying, I want back in.
Well, I have the aforementioned college folks standing by, so let's get to them. Let me show you what Shefty tweeted yesterday also with regard to this. Heather and Paul are here, and I want to put up Shefty's tweet if we can, guys, because I think it's important. He tweeted that Harbaugh reached out and told the people at Michigan this would not be a reoccurring issue, and he would stay at Michigan as long as it wants him, per sources. So, Heather, what do we make of all this?
Well, the staff was just as surprised as everyone else following this. I mean, they learned from Schefter's tweet what was going on, and there's certainly some frustration about the lack of communication, but a source I spoke to this morning said this is not atypical, and it starts from the top down. So even as of this morning, they haven't heard from Athletic Director Ward Manuel. The staff is out. They had yesterday off. They're not supposed to return until mid next week. And how they all come back together after all this remains to be seen, obviously. But there are people who are frustrated. Offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis, at this point yesterday, had support from within that athletic department that he could be a strong internal candidate to replace Harbaugh. They thought that he was going to go. He was preparing like he was going to go. But as Dan said, wasn't necessarily the case on the Vikings side.
Yeah, I mean, the way this is being positioned, Paul, whether it is fully accurate or not, this is sort of the conventional wisdom is that Harbaugh thought he had this job, he left, and then he found out, they don't want him, and now he comes back and says he will, quote, not make this a reoccurring issue and stay at Michigan as long as it wants him. How does that look, Paul Finebaum?
It looks disastrous, Greeny. I mean, can you imagine anyone of his ilk, we're talking about one of the top programs in the country, one of the top schools, doing what he did? Think about Nick Saban or Jimbo Fisher or Kirby Smart or Ryan Day getting on a plane on National Signing Day, interviewing for a job, and then not getting it. And you have to wonder if that interview didn't cost him the job. Jim Harbaugh is 58 years old. He's already been through the NFL dishwasher, and they clearly decided we want someone young. We want a young, up-and-coming coach. We don't want some antediluvian coach who probably has already washed out of the system. And now he has to go back and say, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. What kind of credibility does he have, and why should anyone at Michigan believe him?
I think that is the question that a lot of people will have, Heather. How do we go about figuring out the answer?
Well, two things. One, remember, this was a similar conversation about uncertainty just a year ago. We were talking about him getting fired, right? And he turns around and makes an almost unprecedented comeback in college football. They were 2-4 in 2020. They were in the college football playoff. They won the Big Ten. They had an excellent team. They have an excellent team coming back. Maybe the best offensive line in the country. They only lost one player up front there. A lot of holes to replace on defense, obviously, but Dan had it right. They have the number 3 recruiting class in the Big Ten, number 8 overall as of right this skinny minute. That hasn't changed. To me, it comes down to the leadership on the staff. Can these guys get together? Can they find a new defensive coordinator? Because otherwise, there are a lot of pieces in place to build upon that success.
That said, I get it. And if he's able to hold together this recruiting class, great. But, Paul, you and I both know, and I think you should educate a lot of the fans out there who may be more casual college football fans that don't, that this whole episode will become a huge piece of the recruiting puzzle going forward, not so much for him, but for all those who compete against him.
Yeah, if you're at Michigan State or Ohio State and you're going head-to-head with Jim Harbaugh, all you have to do is show the news from today. Jim Harbaugh does not get job. He tries to seek on National Signing Day. Greeny, there's no way to wash it away. I know Michigan fans get very sensitive about their school and their coach, but this is a very bad look for a great university. And if you're a young person in the Midwest or somewhere else deciding, where do I go to school and exactly which coach do I play for, I think it's a fairly easy decision to think that Michigan may not be your place.
To be clear, This is the opposite of the way these things usually go. Every time there's a big high-profile vacancy, the other coaches let it be known that that school wants them. They wind up getting a huge raise out of it, and then they have plausible deniability they were ever interested in the first place. This was the opposite of all of that, right, Heather? I mean, he let it be known out there that he wanted it. He flew there on National Signing Day. He spent 9 hours, and the way at least it is being positioned is that they weren't that into him. This is the opposite of the way this stuff usually goes, right?
Yeah, Greeny, I mean, anybody watching and anybody who knows Jim Harbaugh knows it's a different kind of operation. We use the word quirky to describe him all the time, and it couldn't be more fitting. I mean, when you look back at 2020, how many other coaches in the country would wait until the last year of their deal to figure out what the next one is going to look like? I mean, that was him waiting on that. So he does not operate in the same way that a lot of other people operate, including college football coaches across the country.
That's right. I want to be clear. I've known Jim Harbaugh since he was the quarterback of the Bears. I've known him for almost 30 years. I love the guy, but this was just it's just not a good situation. Paul, put a final word to it.
I think it will calm down, and because it is Jim Harbaugh, Greeny, most people will just say, okay, that's quirky, weird, out of this world, walk on the wild side, Jim Harbaugh, and move on. Ultimately, he still has to do the same thing that he finally did this year, beat Ohio State. He's done it one time, and if he loses next year at Columbus, which I would predict right now he will, this whole conversation will start up all over again.
Okay, fair enough. And you two will be right in the middle of it for us, as always. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.